First order. Hello. Okay. Sorry, some technical issues. The first order of business is roll call. May we please commence roll call?
Yes. Student trustee Hawk. President Almendra.
Present.
Vice President Fernandez.
Present.
Chief of Staff Patino. Here. Speaker of the House Joe.
Present.
Treasurer Basta.
Present.
Graphic designer Ed Ramahi.
Present.
Web administrator Suarez.
Present.
Chairperson Thumu. Present. Chairperson Chidari. Chairperson Murtaza.
Present.
Chairperson Alvarez.
Present.
Chairperson Celestino.
Present.
Representative Youssef. Representative Ahmed. Representative Cruz.
Present.
Representative Perdruk. Representative Guerrero. Representative Daniela Guerrero. Representative Hebeli. Representative Sharma. Representative Ansari. Representative Giron.
Present.
Representative Erlbacher.
Present.
Representative Goman. Representative Patel. Representative Cordoba. Representative Vilovska. Representative Vodila.
Present.
Representative Hannah. Representative Cabayes. Representative Dasgupta. Representative Zafar. Representative Saadi. Representative Mehta. Representative Rahim Mehta. Representative Khadir. Representative Rodriguez. Representative Zhang. Representative Blin.
Present.
Representative Preobrazhenskia. Representative Omani. Representative Dean. Representative Aladwan.
Thank you so much. The next order of business is reading and approval of the minutes. Please take the time to read over the minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes? If not, then the minutes will stand as approved. The next order of business is reading and approval of the agenda. Please take this time to read over the agenda. Are there any corrections to the agenda? Yes, President Matthew?
Yeah, I would like to motion to add resolution 2022 F6 3000 to the agenda. This is the USG Campus Safety Commission Establishment Act.
There's been a motion to add resolution 2022 F6 3000 to the agenda. Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, then the motion is passed. Are there any other corrections to the agenda? If not, then the agenda stand is approved. The next order of business is public comment. Is there anyone here for public comment? If not, we will move on to the next order of business, which is guest speakers. Our first guest speaker today will be the Assistant Vice Chancellor for Student Health and Wellness and Executive Director for the UIC Counseling Center, Rafael Flores Cavelier. Everyone, he will be on Zoom. Please give a big round of applause.
Hello, everyone. Can you all hear me okay?
Yep.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you for having me, and totally apologize for not being able to be with you all in person. But I do hope to be able to have that opportunity in some upcoming meetings. But again, Rafael Flores Cavelier, and I am joining UIC as the new Assistant Vice Chancellor for Student Health and Wellness and the Executive Director of the Counseling Center. And I've been here since July 1st, this past summer. And in essence, the role that I've entered is to lead the integration of our counseling center, the Wellness Center, and campus recreation, while working with the entire UIC community, including faculty, staff, and students, to develop a community-oriented and public health-grounded approach to supporting student health and well-being. And first, I just want to share a little bit about my background, and then talk a little bit about what some of my goals are this year as I move into this role. It's been a learning journey for my first few months, and I hope to continue learning with all of our campus constituents. So I'm joining you all from New York. I recently moved here from Columbia University. I was there for 5 years, leading their health promotion and public health initiatives office called Alice Health Promotion, doing a lot of work that's kind of similar to the Wellness Center here at UIC. But the complement to that was to really help manage a lot of our pandemic response efforts, and also to engage in an effort to change our culture around well-being at Columbia in partnership with the Jed Foundation. But prior to that, I worked in a variety of different capacities in higher ed in different places, including Res Life, student conduct, worked with sororities and fraternities, but most of my significant work has been in college health. And I was drawn to UIC for a number of reasons. One, a lot of my work has prioritized advancing health equity in university contexts. Two, to be able to cultivate and create a college health entity during a time when so many institutions are pondering what to do to support student health and well-being. That seemed like an exciting opportunity to come join UIC, knowing that there are so many imperatives to support historically marginalized students. It really aligns with my practice, and also to be able to be in a kind of familiar urban space. My partner is from New York, so being able to come here with my partner was really exciting, and I'm really looking forward to working with you all. So my first few days here has been a lot of learning. So I've had a lot of meetings with colleagues, both within student affairs and beyond on all campuses, to really start to understand kind of what's the state of affairs here as it relates to student health and well-being. And I've even been looking at documents, and one of the things that was really exciting was seeing some of the recommendations that you all submitted to the student mental health task force. It actually, so a lot of the recommendations greatly aligned with some of the things that I'm hoping to do while I'm here. But one of the things that's been, pretty telling during my time so far is that there are so many assets that exist within this ecosystem in UIC, within Chicago, that can actually support student health and well-being, that already are in different ways. And an opportunity with my role is to start bringing some of those entities together to work in a more coordinated and collaborative way, so that you can truly feel this broader ecosystem of care. So while I'm looking internally to the areas that I oversee, to look at their service delivery model, to ensure that it's meeting the needs of our students, identifying the gaps in access, and mitigating those barriers to accessing care, I'm also really trying to advocate for, at a systems level, to create an environment that will make it easier for students to engage in health promoting behaviors, but also be supported when you are in need of support. And what I say when I'm thinking about support, I'm thinking about it in expansive ways. So there are services that are expected to be provided by the health and wellness units, including the counseling center. And there are also opportunities to build capacities among some of my colleagues who are student facing, including faculty members, to be able to meet students where they are, to support them in the midst of any type of distressful situation that they're experiencing. And what that for me requires us to think about well-being a bit more holistically. So thinking about mental health, physical health, emotional well-being, relational well-being, career, finances, et cetera, access to housing, access to basic needs, and really try to ensure that when a student is connecting with any of my colleagues, whether they're on the academic side of the house or the administrative side of the house, they are met with some type of support that is meeting them at the need that they need in that moment. So really trying to understand kind of what are some of those interconnections of the challenges that we all face living life, and then trying to leverage those different assets and support systems and structures on campus to be able to support that student in that moment, but also facilitate this continuity of care to get them to the right service, whether it's on campus or beyond, as you move through your journey here. And so with that, what some of my priorities are this year, of course, on the ground, there's a lot of hiring happening for sure. In the counseling center, we're actively searching for about 5 therapists, so including 3 psychologists and 2 licensed therapists. That includes some new positions and a full-time psychiatrist. I'm also working with the campus recreation center to identify gaps in accessing services in terms of some of the students who haven't been utilizing campus rec, to really understand what some of those what might be barriers to accessing those services. And then with the wellness center is really building out their capacity to be engaged in some of those broader health promotion practices that include working with the campus community to do broad level population level needs assessments to really inform our efforts. And then another piece with the counseling center is to really expand our step care model. So I know there are a number of services that are offered through the counseling center that are beyond kind of individual therapy. And so many of those services are kind of housed in the counseling center. And there's an opportunity to really identify which of those services really need to be delivered or consulted on by our therapists, and which one of those could actually be spread out across the different health and wellness areas and or other support structures that are existing on campus, and really building out the capacity for those entities to be able to partner with us in that. And what that is going to require this year is one, really identifying and defining what well-being is at UIC. So really developing a campus-wide vision for health and well-being, leveraging the different assets and priorities of all the different entities that are involved in this work. And then looking at, where are those gaps in care, where people are getting dropped, and being able to kind of build those bridges to be able to meet students where they are. And then lastly, working to, as I'm building these partnerships and setting this institution-wide effort, really embedding well-being in all facets of our institution, really identifying where those silos exist, where people might be working in isolation, and bringing them into the fold. So, for example, I've been invited to serve in a few different spaces on the care team and the student response team, and I'm starting to see connections between the work in those different areas. And me being a prevention human, I'm always trying to find data to be able to figure out what are the patterns and incidents of things, so that we can kind of come up with more root cause analysis work and try to address it from a systemic level. But I'm also seeing that some of this opportunity to be in these spaces is, and also as we're redefining some of this work, is to bring some people to the table who have not been at the table, who are doing similar work, so that they can be in a community to support this community, this community, the health and well-being of our community here. So with that, I feel like there are going to be a number of opportunities for me to engage with you all, with other student groups on campus and other colleagues, to continue to learn what have been some of the pain points, where are those opportunities to really enhance care and support, and where we can kind of work as a collective to prioritize well-being for our community members here at UIC. So I know that there are probably a number of questions, and I will I will answer the questions as much as I can. If there are things that I don't know, I will go and find the answer for you, because again, I am still learning UIC and learning all the different components of how things move here, since I just joined in the summer, and this is actually my first time actually having time with just students. So I'm excited to connect with y'all.
Thank you so much. We will now open the floor up for questions. Are there any questions? Yes, the chair recognizes Director Celestino. Can we get a moment? Oh, okay. Go ahead.
All right. Hi there. So I kind of wanted to ask in regards to, hello. I wanted to ask in regards to the hiring process of these new therapists and counselors. How long would that take, and what is the interim solution to that fix? Because I have gotten reports that it's currently the wait time is 3 weeks for students to receive mental health services, and unless they are crisis reporting or a crisis report. So as a student, I find that very unsettling. So I kind of wanted to see what the plan is for the interim and how long it's going to take to make it a permanent solution.
So for the interim, oh, wow, I'm echoing. Sorry. Are we good? Okay. So the active search that's happening, I know they've submitted the positions during the summer before I started, and things got posted about a month ago. And I know from the search committee that there have been a number of applicants that are pretty strong. So with that, I do envision that they'll probably start having some interviews with select candidates within the coming weeks. So I don't imagine that it'll take long to identify those solid candidates it'll happen within this semester. So probably before November. But again, that I know there are hiring processes that can impact the timeline. But for the interim measures, I know I mentioned the step care model a little bit before. And so what's happening in the counseling center with this integration is we're identifying, again, different supports that actually can kind of meet students where they are if they're not in crisis. So being able to leverage the different services that are available and educate the community about what those services are. So I'm working on building this team between the counseling center and particularly the wellness center to be able to identify what some of those supports are when that initial consultation happens. But the other part, why I have had a lot of my efforts have been trying to understand the different assets at UIC writ large, is to understand kind of where are those other services that exist that provide mental health supports on campus so that they can be brought into the fold to provide the support. And then another pilot project that's coming together that will also be able to hopefully meet students where they are kind of in this interim, and may not be only an interim solution, but a kind of a complementary solution in the long run, is to actually partner with our colleagues at the social work school to actually be a training site, a field placement site for social work students to kind of join our training program in the counseling center to kind of extend our reach beyond the counseling center. So embedding some of those trainees who are under the advisement of some of my professionals in the counseling center to provide that service as well. But in terms of the wait time, this is very helpful to know because I know that there's the initial consultation that happens, and what happens after that initial consultation could be a number of things based on the acuity of what's communicated in that assessment with the therapist and the IC. And one of the things that I think there's a kind of push-pull. On the one end, on the counseling center, is making sure that we're doing what we can to identify all the different assets we have here to connect students to care as soon as possible based on what they need, especially when they're not in crisis, but just need some type of support around some type of psychological distress that doesn't particularly require therapeutic intervention, but also really trying to build capacity across campus with my colleagues who might be referring students to different resources, support resources, to understand kind of what might be the best resource to meet that student's immediate need, and when it isn't, again, something that requires therapeutic intervention. And so I know, again, the interim measure is as I'm learning, it's building out these partnerships to be able to connect people to care, but internally expanding kind of the options or access points across the health and wellness spaces that complement the counseling center, but also knowing that we are actively searching, and there are some really, the pools are looking pretty good. Which was scary because the positions didn't get posted until after the fall started. And I was like, I don't know, but they are actively searching now.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Are there any other questions? Yes, Chair recognizes Secretary Tanya. Oh, you can just talk.
Hi, thank you for being here. I had a question regarding the stepped care model. So I looked on the website and there really isn't much regarding that. So also, this is my first time even hearing of the stepped care model. So could you just explain on that further, and how would you say it's currently reflected in the wellness center today, or the counseling center as well?
Yes. So the way the step care model, kind of the philosophy behind it, the way it works is really doing an assessment to understand what the need that the student is presenting with, and trying to identify the most effective and least resource intensive solution. And then as the need elevates, connecting them to a higher level of care. It doesn't mean less care, but it's more specific care based on what the student is presenting with. And so what that currently looks like when the initial consultation happens, when someone calls in to the counseling center's number, they'll be assessed for what they're presenting with. And based on what they share, they'll either be, they might identify a need for individual therapy. They might identify a need for group therapy. They might identify a need for a more kind of outreach, kind of programmatic, specific one-time training component on a particular specific issue, or they might be directed to one of our virtual kind of drop-ins for a one-time issue session. Or if it's something that extends beyond the scope of care for the counseling center, there are a number of connections that we have through our crisis counselors and case managers to both resources at UIC and resources in the Chicago area, where they will connect folks to those services and follow up with them through our crisis counselors and case managers. And right now, so many of those programs, then there's brief consultations, if you will, where somebody might call in who's not a student, who might be someone who's trying to support a student, and they're trying to get support and advice from a therapist, and they'll be able to provide that there. So right now, a lot of those services are all kind of being delivered by the counseling center, and some of those things are redundancies with the wellness center, for instance. And one of the opportunities that we already started, particularly with our outreach efforts, is when students are requesting different outreach programs on the front side, it's looking like you're requesting it through the counseling center, but on the back end, it might end up being a wellness center program that's delivering it, because we're really trying to show that there can be multiple touch points for supporting a health or well-being concern that might be connected to student mental health or emotional well-being, and being able to kind of meet them where they're in the moment. The other piece to name about the step care model, and I appreciate that you named that it's not on the website in a very clear way, is because we have a web developer internally who's actually looking at that, who's understanding that the way that the website is structured, it doesn't actually align with what our intended user behavior is. And it doesn't connect you to what you absolutely need in that moment. So what they're doing is taking a first step at addressing what the current site is to make it more clear what the approach is, and more explicit what the approach is when someone contacts the counseling center. But on a more mid/long-term plan, we're actually looking at all of the different health and wellness websites and trying to propose an overhaul that will actually include some insights from students, because again, we want to make sure that it's meeting the needs of the intended users of the site. So I can definitely send some more language after about the step care model, so that you can actually read a little about it. It's a small blurb that we usually use to describe it. But it really, in basic terms, it's really to connect student, identify what the need is, connect student to the need, to a type of support structure that is going to meet them where they are in that moment, that doesn't require that much intensive resources, but stepping up, if you will, as that need arises. But if someone's in crisis, getting them into that more acute care sooner than later.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Cordova. Sorry, can you pass the mic to her? Thanks. Technical issues. Oh, turn it on. Yep.
Hi, hello. Thank you for being here. So with that being said, on the website, it says that like students cannot be provided more than one therapy service at a time, like group therapy, relationship therapy. So I was wondering, like, do you think that students would benefit from less restrictions from this? Because like, as you said, oh yeah. Can you hear me now?
So I think I picked up a few parts, but I don't think I got the full question. But was it?
Question, please, Lana. Sorry.
Yes. So my question was that on the website, it says that students cannot be provided more than one therapy service at a time, like group therapy, relationship therapy. So my question is, do you think that students would benefit from lesser restrictions from this?
So thank you for that. I didn't know that was the case. I can definitely get some more information about that. But the second part of your question, did you ask, do I think that students would benefit from multiple types of support or therapy at one time?
Yes.
Yeah, I do. I've come from a place of a lot of team-based and team-oriented care. So one thing to mention, at my prior institution, I oversaw health promotion and public health initiatives, but it was a part of an integrated team of medical service professionals, counseling and psychological professionals, sexual violence response, survivor advocates, disability services, insurance, immunization compliance, et cetera. And we were all kind of under the same HIPAA covered entity. We all kind of shared information as was appropriate when we were actively engaged in care. So sometimes students would come to my department for wellness coaching and on a specific issue, but during their journey on wellness coaching, they might learn that they need some type of support or care from our counseling and psychological services. So then a colleague from that department would enter the team to support that student. Or during the conversation, we might learn that the student is needing some support from our gay health advocacy project around sexual health access. So I do believe that I believe in the concept of team-based care, because sometimes when and using multiple disciplines and being able to ensure that all those different pieces are actually talking to one another, so that a student isn't having to re-express their challenge as they're going through the network. And I think that's the opportunity of the introduction of my role, is to identify what those different pieces are and make sure those pieces are talking to one another and on the same page, including, that addressing that thing that you named about the statement on the Counseling Center's website. I did not know that that was stated, so thank you for naming that.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Yes, Felix?
Hi there. So I kind of wanted to ask, what is an appropriate ratio between therapists and mental health professionals on staff to the student body ratio? I know you had mentioned that they were planning on adding 5 additional therapists, I believe that's a proper term, therapists. But what's our current staffing looking like? And is there like a goal for the near future of a good ratio compared to our student body?
Yes, so our current staffing is 23 therapists. So that includes licensed professional counselors, psychologists, some trainees, both doctoral and post and pre-doctoral, who are providing therapeutic intervention and supporting care to students. These additional, right now we have a part-time psychiatrist, but we're hiring a full-time psychiatrist. And then once we add these additional individuals plus the psychiatrist, that will get us, I'm looking at my numbers to make sure I'm getting you right, 23, 26, 27, 28, 29. And so 29 therapists, people able to provide therapeutic intervention. And the ratio currently right now with the 23 therapists with the on-the-ground students. So there's about 32,313 students who are kind of on ground at UIC. So not including our students who are primarily taking classes online in this moment, but it's about 1 to 1405. So there are a few different ratios that are out there from the state perspective versus the Association for Counseling Center Directors perspective, but they're somewhere in the range from 1 to 1,200 to 1 to 1,500. And so currently we're somewhere in the middle. But one thing I like to name about that ratio, coming up from someone who's not a therapist or someone who provides, I don't provide therapeutic intervention. I have been in the space of being able to provide support for students who are experiencing emotional distress or psychological distress that didn't require therapeutic intervention. So as I'm building out the counseling center, I'm also looking at these other spaces within the health and wellness area that could look at different programs that might be subclinical, but are still meeting the students' needs. So I guess the long range plan in terms of responding to that is I definitely want to increase the number of therapists, and I want to increase the number of modalities through which once a student can get therapy. But I also know I need to do that in concert with, again, identifying those other support structures, including psychological services support structures outside of UIC, where we're building this, facilitating this continuity of care between us and those other resources, because I do know that there are going to be needs that are beyond the scope of practice of the counseling center, but not to send someone there and not support them, to connect them to that care, but make sure that they still know that they have the home of the health and wellness area at UIC. But in parallel to that is also building out our capacity to be able to provide subclinical support for students needing those supports for a variety of psychological distressors that aren't rising to the level of a need for therapeutic intervention. And I name that because I've been in places that have similar size that have double the number of therapists, and those are still overwhelmed, because I know that what we need to do is really broaden that ecosystem.
Thank you very much.
All right, we actually do have another question. Is there anything that's being done in terms of prioritizing hiring diverse therapists as you're going through with this hiring process? Because in previous student testimonials, it's been discovered that students don't feel that therapists reflect their cultures or backgrounds. So we were wondering if there was anything that was being done to amend that.
Yes. So one, in the recruiting process, where we're posting the positions has expanded in terms of we're looking at specific sites, like Blacks in higher education, Asians in higher education, Hispanics in higher education, as all these individual spaces have job boards that kind of target different populations on campus. And then the other piece is we have broaden our qualifications beyond just looking at psychologists to include licensed clinical social workers and licensed professional counselors in an attempt to kind of expand the number of individuals who might be pursuing providing therapy in a university context, to be able to kind of, again, reach that diversity metric. And the other piece is I know I'm doing a lot of learning about, where are those opportunities in the counseling center to be more culturally humble and also culturally competent, and trying to, in addition to diversifying our staff, actually looking internally to think about how we are making sure our culture is one that is inclusive and ensures that individuals feel like they belong when they are seeking care. So that's going to take some learning to figure out who is not accessing care that needs it and what is contributing to that barrier, so that I can address it, even including diversifying staff. So that is happening with this active search, and also trying to look internally at the culture.
Thank you so much. Are there any other questions? Chair recognizes Representative Dean. You want to pass her the mic? Make sure it's on.
Hi, can you hear me?
No.
Hear me now?
Yes, perfect.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, thanks for coming. And I just have a quick question. Is there any sort of like the feedback mechanism or like a section on the cancellation center website, or any like social media that like can engage the students and the cancellation center together?
I typed the question in the chat if it was hard to understand.
Thank you. Currently, there isn't, but there is a new email that I've created for all of the health and wellness spaces called wellbeing@uic.edu. It is not actively monitored for crisis issues. I want to name that, but that is a place where I would strongly encourage you to email ideas, feedback, thoughts, because me and my senior leadership team, we meet every other week, and I also meet with all of them actually more regularly than they probably want me to meet with them. And I know I'm looking at that email and they're in it, and I can definitely look at themes and share that insight with them. So wellbeing@uic.edu, not a heavily publicized email yet, primarily because it's not for responding to student crises, because it's not actively monitored as a daily response mechanism. But I do know that it is something that I look at least once a day, in addition to my own personal email, to be able to, yes, that is correct, wellbeing@uic.edu, to be able to see what the community wants to say or needs to communicate about how we're moving forward. But ultimately, I do want to have a feedback mechanism, a formal one, and I'm a assessment and evaluation nerd by training, so it is something that I want to build in the infrastructure for that. Feedback is a gift, as I say.
All right.
Thank you so much. But just can I for clarifying?
I'm just gonna make sure that everyone who hasn't gone can ask a question. Are there any other questions at this time? Okay, Veronica, you can ask yours and then Hana can go.
So just a quick one. So so there is no like social media for like the Capital Center, like Instagram or like Facebook or any kind of form like social platform.
Not to my knowledge for the counseling center. I will have to confirm with you for wellness and campus recreation.
Okay, that's it. Thank you so much.
All right, Representative Cordova and then Representative Guerrero, and then we will have to stop it there, unfortunately. Go ahead.
Okay, hello. So I have like a quick question. So is there a reason why students can't make appointments like online? I mean, not online, but like, yeah, but online instead of the phone? So currently, like, you can only make it through phone, but I know that could also be a barrier for students who don't have phones, who don't have access to that. So I was wondering if the counseling center would consider a different method for making an appointment.
Thank you for that question. I actually was talking to the admin team about that last week. So I did ask the question of why that doesn't exist so I can better understand. Some of the concerns originally were about, if a student put something on there that they need immediate crisis support or need help with, they wouldn't be able to, we wouldn't know until until we look at it the next day. But I definitely shared my insight about different models and places where I've seen that be a standard of practice to have an online appointment mechanism. And it is something that we are exploring to be able to extend that as another way for students to make appointments. So today there isn't one. I do know that the concerns that were expressed were mostly around crises in the moment when someone's submitting a concern, but that doesn't mean that it can't happen. And it's something that's of interest to me to see to expand the different ways that students can identify appointments.
Okay, thank you.
Representative Guerrero.
Yeah, mine was just information regarding the previous question. So the Wellness Center does not have an Instagram or any social media. And I was actually talking to them because I'm working with them this semester. And they had it, however, whoever goes above the Wellness Center require them to close it, which I think really inhibits their marketing. I don't think many of the events get the attendance they would get if they had a Wellness Center Instagram account. So that was just a comment I have.
Thank you for that. So you're letting me know there is not a social media account for the Wellness Center because someone higher up communicated that we should close it, correct?
Yes, they had to close it, yeah.
Got it. Well, I know I've connected with our creative and digital services team and student affairs, so maybe I can explore what led to that decision and advocate for what we need to do to put some more touch points out there. Thank you.
All right, that's all the time we have for questions. Thank you so much for coming to speak with us today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate the time. And again, sorry I couldn't be there in person, but I hope you invite me again.
Of course, we would love to have you back. You're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but you're also welcome to leave. And thank you again for coming.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye. All right. Everyone's saying bye. Okay. We will now move on to the next order of business, which is old business. The first resolution is Resolution 2022 F5-2000. Sorry. Vice President Michael Fernandez, could you please read this for us?
Yeah, everyone. So as you may remember, this was basically a reaffirmation of our support for reading and review days. So we have a busy agenda. I won't read it all again. But basically just confirming that this year's general body is also in support of these resolutions because it was an issue that was passed last year. So just reaffirming our support.
All right, are there any questions or comments regarding this resolution, or does anyone want to introduce any amendments? As a reminder, we will be voting on this today. If, oh,
The dates are wrong on it.
oh. Yes, so would you like to make an amendment
Yeah,
to change it?
I motion to make an amendment to change the first reading date to October 3rd, 2022, and the second reading date to October 10th, 2022.
There's been a motion to change the dates from October 2nd to October 3rd and October 9th to October 10th. Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, then the motion is passed. Are there any other questions, comments, or amendments to be made to this resolution? If not, we will move on to voting. All those in favor of adopting Resolution 2022 F5-2000, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, then Resolution 2022 F5-2000 has passed. Our next resolution is Resolution 2022 F5-4000. President Matthew Abmendris, could you please read this resolution in its entirety?
Great. Whereas the undergraduate student government has created an external group called the Mental Health Coalition to work specifically on mental health advocacy and promotion on campus. And whereas groups created under this label are not properly defined, and whereas the undergraduate student government seeks to expand the creation of these groups, let it be resolved that the undergraduate student government shall officially title these groups as USG commissions. Then let it be further resolved that USG commissions shall be defined as organized groups formulated to address, advocate, and promote a campus issue. Then let it be further resolved the USG president shall hold the responsibility to create or approve the creation of USG commissions. Then let it be further resolved Article 16, USG commissions shall be added to the undergraduate student government bylaws. Then let it be further resolved Section 1 foundation along with the following clauses. I'm not going to read the specific clauses. I read them last meeting. Let it be further resolved Section 2 membership along with the following clauses shall be added under Article 16. Then let it be further resolved Section 4 funding along with the following clauses shall be added under Article 16. Then let it be further resolved Section 5 operations shall along with the following clauses shall be added under Article 16. Then let it be further resolved that Resolution 2022 S12-1002 mission and incorporation of the Mental Health Coalition shall be repealed. Then let it be further resolved that the USG Commission Act of 2022 will be effective immediately after passing, and that any current group that falls within the definition shall take on the rules and regulations outlined in this act.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to be introduced regarding this resolution? Yes.
Yes, I have a few amendments based on last meeting. First amendment I would like to motion is to remove, let it be further resolved, the USG president shall hold the responsibility to create or approve the creation of USG commissions. We're going to remove this and instead add the resolution clause, whereas it is the responsibility of the USG president to recommend the creation of commissions.
All right, there has been a motion to remove, let it be further resolved that the USG president shall hold the responsibility to create or approve the creation of USG commissions, and instead replacing it with whereas it is the responsibility of the USG president to recommend the creation of commissions. Is there a second? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? Are there any questions regarding this amendment? All right. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, just some quick clarification. For this amendment, this just so that it aligns better with the Constitution and what's worded in there. So now it says that the president recommends the creation of these commissions as outlined in the Constitution. But I would like to motion another amendment to this resolution, which is I would like to amend to remove 2-year terms to be 1-year terms.
There's been a motion to amend USG commissions will serve 2-year terms to say USG commissions will serve 1-year terms. Is there a second?
I second it.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, then the motion carries.
So clarification for this is just 2-year terms seemed a little bit too long. I would like to motion to make another amendment. Just adding another clause under section 1 foundation, subclause E. This is the responsible committee or USG president may disband a commission before its annual review if the commission is assessed to have achieved its goal, if the commission is not fulfilling its purpose and duties, or if there's no longer a need for this commission. And just some clarification, it's just then there's a official procedure that if a commission is not needed in the middle of an academic year, it could be disbanded.
There has been a motion to add a clause that says the responsible committee or USG president may disband a commission before its annual review if the commission is assessed to have achieved its goal, if the commission is not fulfilling its purpose and duties, or if there is no longer a need for the commission. Is there a second?
A second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, then the motion carries. Yes, Sabrina, go ahead.
Oh, I just clarify, what are the guidelines of I guess having to fulfill this goal, like you have like a checklist for like what the goals that you want to achieve or like what is quantitative anyway.
Yeah, I can speak, for instance, on this campus safety commission that's going to be introduced later this meeting. The main things that the commission will be focused on, and this will be in writing at a later time once it's created. It's things like improving night ride services, campus safety, or not campus safety, resident safety. These things are can't really be quantified. I mean, it's really assessed by like data and such. Like maybe, for instance, maybe we might survey the students, ask them how's the night ride going. Like that's one aspect of the commission mission, and they might say, oh, the night ride's working fine to my needs. And it's things like that where we assess needs continuously, and maybe there might be a time when the commission is not needed because we've reached the height of the advocacy.
Just to build off of that, this isn't to say we are, it's not so people can just disband commissions because they want to. It's because if a commission has fulfilled its goals or duties before the 1-year term, we don't want something obsolete that doesn't really function or need to be there. Are there any other questions? Yes, Jair? Okay.
I think Sabrina asked a great question regarding guidelines. I know commission gave you right? So we don't know what commission we made yet. But I think it's important that we include guidelines as to what deemed is successful to make sure that we're actually utilizing our resources. So I think that should be something like you mentioned. It's too difficult to the students are just oh by the end of the commission, 60% of students must roll off. Obviously that's hard to game now. But like you mentioned, we need guidelines.
Right, and we can make those guidelines. It doesn't have to necessarily be outlined in the bylaws. We can create a separate document that outlines these guidelines that committees can follow. And that's something we can discuss as a board.
Are there any other questions, comments, or amendments to this resolution?
I have a few questions.
Wait, I'm not done with.
Sorry, go on.
I have another. I'd like the motion to make another amendment. Just to move subclause A under section 4 funding. And the reason for this amendment is because there's a lot of confusion with how then Vice President Arthur Kosowski wanted to do funding. Basically, we're just gonna remove the entire systematic thing that the previous administration had in mind. We're just gonna have each commission follow the original funding guidelines that USG already holds.
There's been a motion to remove clause A under funding, section 4. Is there a second?
A second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All that opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, the motion carries. Representative Flynn, did you have a question? So, oh, okay. So this just means commissions would be subject to the same guidelines that committees are subject to. That means making a resolution anytime they need funds for anything. So yeah, just the usual guidelines. I don't know if Quinn wants. We're good. Okay. Are there any other questions at this time? Are there any other?
I have one more minute.
Did you?
I can ask at the end.
Okay, go ahead.
Great. And then the final amendment I have here is under subclause D on section 5 operations. We're going to change UC commissions must hold at least 8 meetings in a semester. As Representative Blinn mentioned last meeting, that might be a little bit difficult for commissions to do. So we're going to change it to say USG commissions must hold at least bi-weekly meetings since conception.
There's been a motion to change USG commissions must hold at least 8 meetings in a semester to say USG commissions must hold at least bi-weekly meetings since conception. Is there a second? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, then the motion carries. Are there any other amendments to this resolution? I'm going to share this new version with everyone if that will help. Are there any questions regarding this resolution at this time?
I do have a question.
Yes, Jair?
One question that really wasn't asked was how many commissions can we place at one time? Like I mentioned earlier, the purpose of these commissions is to make sure that we're all focusing on one thing, but we're going to have 5 or 7 commissions at once. Now we have 14 committees in total, and that could really stretch the thing.
Right. I think that we can maybe make an amendment. Yeah, actually, I did mean to add that in the original amendment series. So we discussed 3 commissions per at a time. I think we should agree with that. I think that's what we agreed on during our last meeting, 3 at one time.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that, yes, the commissions are a great idea, I agree, but we got to settle in. Like I said, if we create 5, 7 commissions at once, that will leave some redundant and it will derail us from our original goal. So if you all agree, that be amended into the resolution tonight?
Yes, so I would like to make another amendment. So I would like to add an amendment to add subclause G under section 1 foundation. There may be no more than 3 commissions in one standing, or
In effect at one.
in fact, one time, yes.
There's been a motion to add subclause G to section 1 foundation to say there may be no more than 3 active commissions in one, what was it? At one time. Is there a second?
A second.
All those in favor, please say aye. All opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, then the motion carries. Are there any other questions regarding this resolution? We will. Go ahead. Yeah, of course.
So I understand, the encouragement to make commissions outside of committees so that we can really expand our network, especially outside of USG. But I'm not understanding how this process works when it's brought to the executive branch, when it's brought to the president, if there's no if there's no clear-cut guidelines on what the commission should consist of. Like if I have an idea on a commission, but I just tell you the idea, but I don't have an action plan, I don't have anything backing it, how is that? How do we ensure that that would even last for 1 year?
Yeah, that's exactly why it needs to be thought. If you don't have an action plan and you don't have any, if you don't have anything for it, then maybe it shouldn't be a commission, because the point of a commission is that there's support in the undergraduate student government for this. We're getting feedback from the student body that this is needed. If you don't have any of those, you don't have an action plan, then there should not be a commission. Yes.
Can I ask a follow-up? So then how would I, like, if I have a commission idea and I want to have it passed, I have no idea how to even get that passed. So I guess my question is, like, what would I need to ensure so that it gets passed if there's nothing in the bylaws here that says that these are the requirements that you need to even propose this commission to begin with, that would make it a passable commission, if that makes sense?
Well, I mean, there is Section 1 Foundation, I think, outlines that. I mean, this entire thing kind of outlines how commission should be done. For instance, there needs to be at least 3 members from USG a part of this. You need to find the responsible committee that can oversee this. For instance, Mental Health Coalition is under Student Success Committee. Campus Safety Commission is under Campus Love Committee. In addition, under the Constitution, the president recommends these. So if there's a need for anything like commission, task force, working group, it should be consulted with the president, and then we can work out the details. And again, like going back to what you said, if there's no action plan, if there's no evidence from the student body that wants this, then maybe it's not needed.
Thank you.
And for the process, we're going to be, again, introducing the USG Campus Safety Commission Establishment Act. So that I think this shows right here today the process.
Yes, Director Jair.
Well, one after that, Danya, agree on that, I think we need guidelines. I think we need them to take that rather than later. I think that's something we should really work on first. But regarding that, I have another question regarding the membership. So under the foundation section, it states that USG commissions must be under a USG committee that corresponds to the issue or topic the commission is addressing. Okay. But there's nothing listing, and under the membership, it also states that members that are not USG related can also be commissions. But there's nothing to be stating whether members from other committees can be intertwined into these commissions.
To answer that, I mean, if you look at the Mental Health Commission, there's multiple representatives from different committees part of this. So I mean, any USG member can join these commissions. Again, these aren't tied. Like the difference between a commission and a committee is that representatives are required to be under a committee, but they're not required to be a part of a commission.
I understand that, but I feel like we were able to transmit that because it was word of mouth. This will be in place for years to come, and people years later on probably won't know that. But I think that's also language that should be included within the overall. I think it's a little vague. I think we need to get precise as possible, especially because of the fact that this is something that can really impact the issue later on.
Okay, I have a comment going off that. You could just amend part B right here to say that it must be under USG committee that corresponds to issue or topic the commission is addressing. However, any USG committee member, so I don't know how you want to word it, but any USG member can join. It doesn't have to be under that same committee. So you might just want to add that wording right there for any vagueness referencing, and I think that would cover everything then. Since it's talking about committee right there, you can just reference any rep right there.
Great, you want to introduce that amendment?
Sure. You will agree with that? Is that something?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Okay, I would like to motion to make an amendment to add section 1 foundation part B. However, any USG representative may join.
at the end of this. They join a commission.
All right, there's been a motion to amend subsection B under section 1 foundation to add, however, any USG representative may join a commission. Is there a second? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, then the motion carries. Are there any other questions regarding this resolution? Yes.
It says letter for the resolved section 3, duty responsibility for law enforcement process. Section B, point 3, it says shall report to meet progress to the USG executive team. Who's the executive team? Is exactly to the XPO chair.
So
Regarding the vice president, and how many times does the report have to be filed to the USG executive team? Is it weekly, bi-weekly? I don't know the number I had with the previous amendments of weekly, bi-weekly.
Yeah, I mean, this is just reporting progress. Executive team is a term in the Constitution that refers to the president, vice president, and chief of staff. This is just a clause, just like, for instance, a commissioner may report to the chief of staff as a director would report to the chief of staff.
Okay, so it would be weekly?
I mean, it's really, I think, that could be assessed between the executive team and the commissioner at that time. Maybe it could be weekly if it's like at the beginning of the year when things are getting settled in, but then towards the end of things when things are more established, and when things are more established, it could become bi-weekly, or it could be
Okay, so you said weekly in the beginning. I think that's great. I think in the beginning.
So
go to bi-weekly.
I don't think we need to introduce that sort of because that's very, very confining. For instance, when you do these chief of staff meetings, it's not defined in the bylaws. The same thing, for instance, for a committee, when committee directors may do one-on-one with representatives, those aren't confined in the bylaws. So this is just things to assess progress. So this is just something vague that just to make sure that the commission reports something to the student government.
Just to add on to that, because these are going, is this on?
Oh, it might be dead.
No, I'll just speak loudly.
I'll get you that.
No, that's fine. Just to add on, because this is going in the bylaws, I think it's intentionally not super specific, because, well, it's the bylaws. And to change the bylaws, it has to go through a whole process. So if we were to use very specific language that might not work for future administrations, I do agree that it would be a little confining. So I think just dictating that the commissioner shall report to the executive team at all kind of covers our bases in terms of that. But also I motion to make an amendment to change shall report committee progress to shall report commission progress. Is there a second? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, then the motion carries. Are there any other questions or comments at this time? All right, we will be voting on this tonight. So any last questions or comments? Okay. If not,
One final.
sure.
Yeah, just a final statement on this. This is again just to simplify things. As I mentioned in the first reading, this doesn't really change much. It just simplifies procedures. It defines them. Without this, we'll go things vaguely as already said in the Constitution.
All right. We will now move on to voting. All those in favor of adopting Resolution 2022 F5 4000, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, then resolution 2022 F54000 has passed. We will now move on to our next order of business, which is new business. The first resolution we will be introducing is resolution 2022 F6 2001. Michael, would you please read this for us?
Yeah, so this resolution is basically in response to USG members and other members of the UIC community seeing gator bikes on campus. And those are not allowed because they're technically electric bicycles. And Jair was helping me create this and found the policy UP 1500-002, effective January 1st, 2021, which does not allow those type of vehicles or transportation devices to be on our campus. And just from personal experience, I think they move like really quick around students. So the purpose of this resolution is to just inform the chancellor about it and just have our undergraduate student body sign off on it, basically saying that we do not want gator bikes to cut through our campus in order for them to do their grocery delivery service. And then it's basically a resolution, so I can attach a letter to it. Basically we'll be voting on whether we want to sign up on it as a whole general body. But yeah, that's about it.
All right, are there any questions or comments regarding this resolution? Yes, Rahi?
The policy already exists, so we're not like changing the policy. We're basically saying we've noticed they're on campus. Like last year, they made like all electric scooters or bikes. Like that's from Chief Booker, so I'm not trying to change that. I'm just trying to make sure that Gitter follows it, because it's sort of like a private company, so it's even more problematic than if a student was to use it, which would be a little bit more like understandable.
Are there any other questions or comments? Yes.
Yeah, just another statement for the reason for this letter to Getter is because there's a reason why a policy like this exists to keep students' safety in mind. We get that Getter drivers might want to cut through our campus to get to their destination quicker, but this puts students at risk. We mentioned that we observed this. They actually they almost hit Mike and I while we were standing in the sidewalk. But in addition, this is just to reinforce our policy on this and to just make Getter delivery drivers aware of this policy. Maybe this could change something within the company across all campuses.
Yes, Representative Guerrero.
Be like a delivery of this, how are you making this better?
Yeah, so then we'd share this with the chancellor and hopefully he'd sign off on it as well. And then either through him or through us, either we could deliver the letter or mail it to them, either one. Just make sure that they get it in general.
Are there any other questions regarding this resolution? If not, we will be voting on this next week. The next resolution is Resolution 2022 F6 1000, and I will read this. Whereas the Mental Health Commission exists to promote student mental and emotional well-being through targeted programming, assess the efficacy of mental health resources on campus, and recommend the implementation of university policies that benefit students' mental health. And whereas the undergraduate student government seeks to promote the Mental Health Commission as a resource for students, student organizations, and administrators alike. As such, the Mental Health Commission will hold a kickoff event through which it hopes to increase its visibility on campus, highlight the various initiatives being pursued by the Commission, and underscore the importance of mental health advocacy and awareness at UIC. And whereas the Mental Health Commission kickoff event will feature a total of 2 guest speakers from the Wellness Center and the Counseling Center, to which the undergraduate student government and Mental Health Commission wish to express their gratitude. Then let it be resolved that the undergraduate student government shall allocate up to $275 to cover the cost of refreshments, the room reservation, and the purchase of honorariums for the event's guest speakers. And let it be further resolved that any unspent funds shall be returned to the undergraduate student government budget. Are there any questions regarding this resolution? Yes, Danya?
Do we know what those honorariums are?
We don't have the specifics, but we will be purchasing from the USC bookstore. And the price of those honorariums will not exceed $50 each. I'll connect. Are there any other questions regarding this resolution? If not, we will be voting on this next week. Okay, the next resolution to present is resolution 2022 F6 1001. Chief of Staff Abby, would you please read this for us?
Yeah. Okay. This is for the UIC Police Town Hall. So whereas the undergraduate student government wishes to increase campus safety, education, and create meaningful relations with the UIC Police Department, then let it be resolved the undergraduate student government will co-host a police town hall with the UIC Police Department on Thursday, October 27th, 2022 from 2 to 3 p.m. titled Campus Safety Matters to engage the UIC community in education on safety practices and how to seek help. And let it be further resolved, the undergraduate student government will rent SCE room 302 free of charge, but will pay for the $28 rental of a projector to display the UIC police presentation.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions or comments regarding this resolution? We will be voting in this next week. If not, we will move on to the next resolution, which is resolution 2022 F6 1002. Director Modesty, would you please read this for us?
Whereas the University of Illinois Chicago is one of the most diverse campuses, not just in Chicago or in the state of Illinois, but across the nation. Whereas UIC hosts many students and faculty from all backgrounds and cultures, although UIC is very diverse, USG has been very aware that students don't feel its rich diversity. And whereas it is the mission of USG to promote and elevate USG diversity, USG shall work towards elevating diversity on campus and make USG a more welcoming campus to its thousands of students. Whereas USG seeks to collaborate with UIC cultural centers to organize a cultural fair festival that will not only present the world's cultures, but increase engagement and community at UIC. And whereas the USG Cultural Fair will be a 3-hour event taking place from 4 to 7 p.m. in the Illinois Room AB during November 11th. You can read the description of the cultural fair in the resolution. Whereas the specific event agenda for the USG Cultural Fair is used in the attached document below, then let it be resolved that USG will allocate $1,249.80 for the event. Let it be further resolved, USG will spend the allotted money according to the attached budget. And let it further be resolved that all unspent funds shall be returned to the budget before the end of the fall 2022 semester.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments regarding this resolution? Yes, go ahead. Sorry, could you repeat? Okay, to consider. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for letting me know. The date for November 11th was actually the time that Meetings and Conferences was able to give us for Illinois Room A and B. And because this event is such a big one, the room is kind of necessary for the event to take place. And so while there will be a conflict with the tailgate, I'll have to see if Meetings and Conferences, I don't think Meetings and Conferences has a different time available for the event to take place in Illinois. Yeah, because I coordinated with them.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? All right, if not, then we will move on to the next. Oh,
you want me to executive order?
Oh. Okay. Sorry, go ahead and make your amendment.
Yes, I would like to motion to amend to, first correct President Almendra's name, the correct spelling. Second, I would like to amend the budget for the event, from $1,249.80 to $779.43. And I will send the updated budget to the general body.
All right, there's been a motion to amend President Matthew Almendras to say President Matthew Almendras. Okay. And to change the budget allocation from $1,249.80 to $779.43, correct? Is there a second? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, then the motion carries.
And then one last amendment, change the name from USG Cultural Fair to UIC Cultural Fair, just because we're partnering with the other cultural centers on this, and the cultural centers are funding the snacks for the event. So I'll be changing the name throughout the resolution from USG Cultural Fair to UIC.
There has been a motion to amend Resolution 2022 F6-1002 to say UIC Cultural Fair instead of USG Cultural Fair. Is there a second?
A second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, then the motion carries. Are there any other questions or comments regarding this resolution? Thanks. Any other questions or comments? All right.
Yeah. I would like the motion to use executive order to vote on this tonight.
There's been an executive order to vote on Resolution 2022 F6-1002 tonight, so we will be voting on this tonight. With that being said, are there any other questions or comments? If not, we will move on to voting. All those in favor of adopting Resolution 2022 F6-1002, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, then Resolution 2022 F6-1002 has passed. We will now move on to the next resolution, which is Resolution 2022 F6-1003. Mahanur, could you please read this for us?
Sure. Hey, everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Sorry, she's on Zoom. Let's get her up there. 1 second. All right, Mahanur, can you say something, please?
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So this is a resolution F 2022 F6-1003 USG Coffee, Cocoa, Cookies, and Career Event. So whereas the undergraduate student government cares for the academic success of students and gives importance to providing opportunities for their career readiness, and whereas this can be achieved by collaborating with the UIC career development departments, and whereas the Student Success Committee will be hosting a USG Coffee, Cocoa, Cookies, and Career Event in collaboration with the LAS Department of Internships and Career Development on Thursday, November 17th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Then let it be resolved that USG will allocate $80 for the following services and any other needed supplies, such as projector and screen and a wired microphone. Let it be further resolved that USG will allocate $80 for the following beverages from UIC Catering and any other needed beverages, such as 3 gallons of coffee and 3 gallons of hot chocolate. Let it be further resolved that USG will allocate $200 for the following cookies and any other needed cookies, such as cookies and cracker mix and snack pack variety mix. Let it be further resolved that USG will allocate $50 for the promotion and printing of bingo cards for the event. Then let it be further resolved that USG will allocate a total of $410 for the cost of the USG Coffee, Cocoa, Cookies, and Career Event.
All right, thank you so much. Are there any questions or comments regarding this resolution?
I'd like to make a motion to amend the resolution.
Yes, go ahead with your motion.
All right, a motion to add, let it be further resolved that any unused funds will be returned back to the USG budget.
All right, there's been a motion to add a clause that says, let it be further resolved that any unused funds shall be returned to the USG budget. Is there a second? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, then the motion carries. Are there any other amendments, questions or comments regarding this resolution? If not, then we will be voting on this resolution next week.
I move to suspend the rules and bring resolution 2022 F6 2001 back to the table.
There's been a motion to suspend the rules and bring resolution 2022 F6 2001 to the table. Is there a second?
A second.
All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, then resolution 2022 F6 2001 has been returned to the table.
I realized that I would need to executive order this resolution, the getter letter, because we are meeting with the chancellor this Monday before the second reading / voting. We're meeting with him, I believe, around noontime, and we would like to present this to the chancellor to get his feedback and approval. With that, I use executive order. Before I execute the order, does anyone have any questions or concerns about this letter? Great. All right, then I motion to use an executive order to vote on this tonight.
There's been an executive order to vote on resolution 2022 F6 2001 tonight, so we will be moving on to voting. All those in favor of adopting resolution 2022 F6 2001, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, then resolution 2022 F6 2001 has passed. We will now return to our normal agenda. Our next order of business, or our next resolution is resolution 2022 F6 3000. It should be included as a reply to the packet email for those who are pulling it up. President Matthew Mendes, could you please present this?
Great, yeah. Great. So, whereas the undergraduate student government is an institution that advocates for student concerns and campus service improvements, and whereas campus safety is a top concern of the student body and the undergraduate student government's members, and whereas there's been many concerning situations where student safety was at risk and campus services were not meeting the needs of the students, and whereas the UIC Public Safety Board is requiring additional undergraduate student feedback, then let it be resolved that the undergraduate student government shall address campus safety by establishing the USG Campus Safety Commission. Then let it be further resolved that the mission of the USG Campus Safety Commission is as follows. The USG Campus Safety Commission shall work to improve the safety of the students and UIC community members by meeting with administrators relevant to campus safety and soliciting concerns, ideas, and feedback from students on campus services. Data achieved by this commission shall be reported back to the undergraduate student government to provide recommendations to the UIC administration. Let it be further resolved upon passing this resolution, the undergraduate student government shall work immediately to form the USG Campus Safety Commission.
Are there any questions or comments regarding this resolution? If there are no further comments, we will be voting on this resolution next week. With that, we will now move on to the next order of business, which is items for discussion. Are there any items for discussion? If not, we will move on to the next order of business, which is ex officio reports. May we please have the report of the student trustee? Just speak loudly.
Good evening, everyone. But provide a little bit of motivation and
Please.
with the life and what's happened in the prison and stuff. So I'm going to say it was pretty good. Again, first off, I think what the new numbers often, like three-fourths of them are not here, but I was with, the university, and then I was in office trade, US federal person, and I was in trade with the office, and yeah, moving forward, I was recently appointed to the USG Meeting for Copyright Science Committee, which is hosted by the Vice Chancellor for Community Services and the Vice Chancellor for Budget, HR, and Financial Administration. The purpose is to investigate the work for usage of our infrastructure, to make recommendations, to make sure the capital funds are also being used efficiently. So the meeting process committee, and I look forward to moving more and moving forward. I also attended USG's active seminar with Matthew Nandro. Shout out to USG's community police officers for that one participation. I also had a great chance to have a productive conversation with from the USG's registrar, Rob Dixon, regarding USG's undergraduate enrollment. He's been here for 20 plus years, but gathering insights that came about in the graduate enrollment and so forth was really insightful. And lastly, we're planning to meet with the representative support services committee alongside my fellow board members, but I'm sure they'll cover the officer work on the different details. But generally, a huge shout out to the vice president, Fernandez, for making it forward with this year, and shout out to the speaker, Zoe, for her work last year to help us get to this point. And with that being said, I will try to yield for the questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions regarding Mohammed's report? If not, then the report of the student trustee shall be filed. Next, the next order of business is officer reports. May we please have the report of the president?
Yes. Thank you. So you'll find my report in the email chain that was sent out this morning. But last week I met with Sandy DeGroot. She's the head of assessment and scholarly communications at the UIC library. I learned some unfortunate news that the funding for the OER incentive program has been discontinued. This is because the provost believes there should be a shift in direction in terms of open education. I think we'll be looking towards advocating to get this back. Basically, what this incentive program is to allow professors to create open education through getting a grant. But in terms of what USG is doing, we're probably going to switch our direction from grassroots efforts, from things like petitioning and stuff, to serving both students and faculty. So that's a switch in direction that we're going to be taking for open education. Additionally, just some things in terms of textbook portability across, like outside of UIC, I'm going to be a student member in the committee for equity in higher education funding, and I'll be a student panelist for an OER conference later this month. And again, just last week, I've just been meeting with committee directors to revisit committee agendas as we are starting committee meetings for this academic year. Specifically, I talked with Treasurer Basta about student collaboration, so we're going to be looking towards that because there still seems to be some dysfunction with student orgs receiving funding from CSI. So we're going to be meeting with, Mike and I are going to be meeting with Joy, the director of CSI, to talk about the status on the creation of the Student Activities Funding Committee. Because if that's not created, then that means student organizations are not getting funding at all. And if student organizations are getting funding, then they're not following the bylaws, which is a little bit concerning for them. In addition, I received an email providing updates on wireless infrastructure. I included that in my report, so members can read that if they want to do so. But basically, they're adding more devices on campus that allow for, I believe, more bandwidth. Or in specific, there's this wireless controller that if one of them fails to function, it'll switch to another one without a loss in speed. Other than that, this week I'll be meeting with the faculty union. They want to talk to us about collaboration. This could be a huge asset to us, as right now they're in negotiations, so we can include things like counseling center improvements, open education, all of that. But we're just going to find where we want to to work together on. And finally, going to meet with the interim dean of students just to talk about things like student organization funding and other things like legal services for students. And on Friday, student fee activity committee is going to meet again on Friday to talk about, I believe, tuition. So with that, I yield for questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions regarding President Almanjiz's report? If not, then the report of the president will be filed. Next, may we please have the report of the vice president?
Yes, so this week I created the resolution letter, just so that could be presented to the body, and obviously we voted on that just now. And it's going to be presented to the chancellor. Matt and I met last Wednesday to have a weekly meeting. There we talked about our efforts with campus care and just keep working on it. So when we meet with the heads of campus care, we can ask the proper questions and see how we can better serve the student body. We're currently in the process of trying to schedule our first meeting with the heads of campus care. Elizabeth Dooley, who's the clerk of the Senate, referred to resolutions to the Senate Committee on Sport Services. So we'll be meeting with them the next couple of weeks. Hopefully get some feedback, and then we can make adjustments to our resolutions in the future. As Pat mentioned, we're meeting with CSI, hopefully to straighten out how student orgs are funded, get clear guidelines, that sort of thing. And also we'll be talking a little about homecoming week. So if everyone has any suggestions on how USG should participate in homecoming week, let me know. I was thinking that as of now, USG could sort of hold like a little competition for we're playing Loyola, right? Mm-hmm. So like during the Loyola game, we could judge like the best student org session, or like group in the stands. Whoever brings the most numbers in proportion to their group, and who has like the creative group in the stands, like they could get some sort of prize. If anyone has any like something like that. We'll talk with it with Joy, but if you have any other ideas, or if you think that you have a better idea, just let me know. But that is on Wednesday when we're meeting with her to discuss that. And the tailgate is coming up. So, and then yeah, attended the e-board meeting.
I have a comment. The website right now currently has Saturday for the homecoming dance, but the date is a Friday. So maybe you could tell her that the website has wrong information. One of those has to be correct. Last year was on a Friday, so the date is a Friday, but the day it says is Saturday.
Okay.
So maybe you can tell her that the website isn't accurate.
Okay.
So what's the date? It says November 18th, which is a Friday, but then it says Saturday, November 18th. So I'm like, what?
Are there any other questions regarding President Fernandez's report? If not, then the report of the vice president will be filed. Next, we have the report of the treasurer.
Hello, everyone. I hope everyone had a great weekend. So first and foremost, I have reformatted budget. It's very visually appealing now. I'm in conversation with Director Manosky and figuring out logistics for the cultural fair. Obviously, we figured them out because the resolution was passed. I also met with Speaker Michelle regarding the Mental Health Commission kickoff. We're looking into the catering and speaker honorariums for the event. Also met with Director Mahanur regarding the future coffee, cookies, and cocoa career event. We're finding the ideal pricing for the cookies and exploring all of our vendor options. And I'm also creating the order for the coffee and cocoa. I established the date and time for the first Treasury Committee meeting. That will be tomorrow, Tuesday at 4:15 p.m. And I've created an introductory presentation. I've also created a presentation on the Treasury Committee fundamentals for the USG onboarding meeting. This will mainly contain funding policies, and I hope to see you all there on Wednesday. But on another note, I got USG a partial refund on last week's catering order because they completely messed it up. Got about $225 back. That's great. Very enthusiastic about that. And I'm now creating catering templates for ordering convenience. We're going to rotate between these templates each week. So if you have any special requests, suggestions, complaints regarding catering orders, please let me know. And I also attended the bi-weekly e-board meetings. I just want to say, keep up the great work, everyone. Everyone's doing a great job. And on that note, I would like to yield my time to questions.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions regarding Treasurer Basa's report? If not, then the report of the treasurer will be filed. Next, we have the report of the speaker. All right, everyone. So USG orientation, if you haven't been reading my emails or my texts, first of all, that's such a bummer, but it will be this Wednesday from October 12th from 6 to 8 p.m. All members, new and old, must attend. This event is mandatory. If you don't attend, I'm going to have to hunt you down, which neither you nor I will want to do. So please attend or let me know otherwise. The location will be ARC 242 and there will be snacks if you need any more incentive. So yeah, please mark that date in your calendar now. Again, it is mandatory. We had a mental health commission meeting in which we compiled a comprehensive list of questions for today's guest speaker. So I want to thank everyone who asked such wonderful questions today and contributed to a successful meeting. We also talked about the mental health commission kickoff, in which we divided responsibilities for event outreach and worked through some logistics. And we also discussed possible event ideas. As Quinn said, we met to discuss the kickoff funding and other updates. All right, and that's it for my report. Are there any questions or comments? If not, we will move on to the report of the Chief of Staff.
Okay, so as you heard from my resolution today, I've been beginning to finalize the details of the UIC Police Town Hall, and Matthew and I are actually going to meet with Chief Booker on Wednesday to discuss some final things. But a draft was made, and I sent that for approval. We had a very productive e-board meeting, and I'm having director meetings this week, so don't forget, but we don't have an e-board meeting this week. Let's see. Oh yeah, and Mrs. George also wants me to work on a November educational flyer for her concept of campus safety matters with crime data and best practices to safety on campus. So I need to figure out how I'm going to do that, but if you want to help, we can definitely form kind of a working committee. But I'm thinking I'll probably have to like interview Chief Booker or something for that. But if you guys want to be involved, if you're passionate about campus safety, we're just making this educational flyer alongside Mrs. George's approval. So if you're interested in that, let me know.
All right. Are there any questions or comments regarding Abigail's report? If not, then the report of the Chief of Staff will be filed. Next, we have the report of the Diversity and Inclusion Chair.
I coordinated with the award about the cultural fair, decided the date for the cultural fair. Met with Ramona Gupta at the WLRC and discussed participation at the cultural fair and the next steps regarding constructive access at USC. Dropped by the LCC with President Matthew Almendrez and followed that meeting up with an email, kind of just to discuss their participation and like funding of the snacks at the cultural fair. Deciding the committee meeting times Sundays 2 to 3 p.m. over Zoom, as well as an optional lunch hangout hour. And we also had our first committee meeting this Sunday. It was a great meeting. I sent out my deputy chair applications, and they were decided over the weekend. And I selected Rena Zhang as my deputy chair. I created the forum for students and student organizations to participate in the cultural fair. If you guys are connected to any student organizations, I would encourage you to kind of send this forum and kind of spread the word about the cultural fair, that we have it, that it's going on. And then I finalized the budget for the cultural fair with the resolution presented it today, and had a great meeting with the board this week.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments regarding Montesquieu's report? If not, then the report of the Diversity and Inclusion Chair will be filed. Next, we have the report of the Legislative Affairs Chair.
Great news. Earlier, I know with the
being the director of the fraternity story, like on campus, to discuss the logistics of focusing our literacy centers on fraternity and sorority life. He was ecstatic and he's on board. Definitely need fun. I spoke with some fellow clerical who advised Mother. Once again, open up conversation on implementing the leadership program within the organization. We will soon organize a meeting with the executive director of the League Watson to propose the idea. It's going to be a conversation with she's new right within the organization because sometimes you just have to. But I think it's going to go great. I'm really hope that this program might be implemented. I'm also completing the invitation letter, so we sent out to the mayoral candidates, informing them of the date for the vote in January. I'm giving myself a deadline of October 20th, so we'll get this done by then. But as always, if anyone has any questions or concerns, I think it's right here.
Thank you. Are there any questions regarding Jair's report? If not, then the Legislative Affairs Chair will be filed. Next, we have the report of the Public Affairs Chair. Oh, perfect. Okay. You can just talk about it. Okay.
Met with After Mauricio to show him the basics of our website. Discuss potential ideas he had for our website redesign. We will be creating a mini outline before working on it. Met with graphic designer Dana, created a template for our IG posts on Canva to help with uniformity. The template contains ideal colors that should be utilized and consistent as well as fonts. Reached out to former Speaker of the House, Tila Taylor, and former DIC Chair, Bayan Hamad, for more information on the previous USG newsletter to create drafts by the end of the week. Decided on PAC committee meeting time, bi-weekly on Wednesdays from 7:15 to 7:45 p.m. And finally sent out 2 Google Forms, basically just fill out if it applies to you by Friday at the 14th.
All right, please direct all questions to Public Affairs Director Kemby through her email. The next, we will now move on to the report of the Student Success Chair.
All right, hi everyone. So first things first, scheduled our first committee meeting to be on Thursday, October 13th from 5 to 6 p.m. And if anyone would like to join, please let me know. We met with Treasurer Quinn to finalize the allocations for the budget for the USG Coffee, Cocoa, Cookies, and Career event. Accomplishment, I guess, was submitted my very first resolution to be read today, and thank you to Chief of Staff Abby for helping me with it. And then I met with President Matthew to update him on the event and other SSC initiatives.
Thank you. Are there any questions regarding Moderator's report? If not, then the report of the Student Success Chair will be filed. Next, we have the report of the Campus Life Chair. Will someone be reading his report? Yes, you can, Danya.
He attended the Resident Hall Association General Body Meeting on Tuesday. He heard many student concerns regarding safety, laundry issues, and an inability to access spaces and facilities issues. If you want to know more, and then his next. Oh. No, Rita, please go ahead.
Okay. He informed residents about what USG is regarding the club meeting. He also discussed the underutilization of public comment for the USG meeting. He attended the USG meeting on October 7th. He received complaints about minority persons and some about the USG situation. He also did mention that if you or anyone yelled at any complaints or concerns about the natural places, please do not drive at mercy that was used. He did meet with President Matthew and talked about the campus leaders event, the status of improving campus housing, the concept information, and prior to the he sent his people to the RFA meeting for the rest of the semester. He continued to take this meeting for the first time today at 2:30. We started to plan our business campus meetings event. As a reminder, everyone in the campus meeting, please grab the support.
All right, thank you so much. If anyone has any questions, please direct them to Felix through his email, and the report of the Campus Life Chair will be filed. We'll now move on to the next order of business, which is announcements. Are there any announcements? Yes, Sonia?
I have two announcements. So, for those who come in late, can you just like please tell me afterwards because it's like hard to see who comes in at what time. And then my other announcement today, I stumbled across in BSB. I don't know if anyone's seen it. It's the Institute for Humanities. They newly put it there. It's where the computer lab is. So they have like a designated area now, which I thought was really cool. They have some focus groups. They have events coming up. So there's a lot of things happening this week. So they're doing educational sessions on Iran, which I think is very relevant to what's happening right now. So if the humanities, you know, with your academic track or just in general, I would check it out.
Thank you so much. Are there any other announcements? Yes, Matt. Oh, yes, go ahead, Lauren.
You can also join in person at the or a
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lauren. Any other announcements? Yes, Matthew?
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly just say to take care. I know it's still currently midterm season. I'm definitely feeling the academic pressure from all my classes, but I hope everyone takes care and gives some time to themselves to relax and again take care. So yeah, that's all for my announcement.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other announcements? Yes, Manasvi?
Yeah, once again, if you guys know of any students or any student organizations, that would be a really good fit for picking up like a speech slot or staffing the booth at the cultural fair. Or if you have any contacts to any student organizations, feel free to send them my way, or send the form to them. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Are there any other announcements? Yes, Daniela?
Outline retrograde 7 to 9 p.m. with this specific group. They're giving away crystals if you like them. There's gonna be basics. No, this is no. What is it? The one that have all the crystals that you can just take up. So that's tonight, tomorrow, in this.
Thank you so much. Are there any last announcements? If not, we will move on to our next order of business, which is adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? All right, if not, the meeting is now adjourned at 7:51 p.m.
Bye.